right is a key ingredient in making sure you're good at what you do. After all, you wouldn't carve meat with a blunt bread knife. Well, let's kick things off with the big dog. It is very problematic in a lot of golfers' bags. And first of all, what I want to know is the current driver that you have in your bag effective? And by I mean effective, is it finding fairways and is it not having a negative impact on your overall score? Because if it is, then there are things you can change. And the two suggestions that I would look at are either getting some more loft on your driver. This driver has 12 degrees of loft and the majority of your bags will have a 9 or a 10 degree driver head in it. That's making life a whole lot more difficult. Get some loft, it will help. Second option is looking at these kind of things. Mini drivers. Mini drivers provide that additional loft, but they're also often attached to a shorter shaft, which gives you greater control. There's plenty of options out there and it's a much safer option from the tee and will ultimately build confidence, which is key to all about what I'm going to discuss in today's video. And finally, that shaft option. This is a shortened shaft, 44.5 inches, and as most of you will know, your driver will be close on touching 46 inches. That control element is key, so if all of this is not an appeal to you, that's mini driver or more loft, then consider putting a shorter shaft on your existing driver head. Now next up is irons, and if you've gone out and bought the standard 4-to pitching wedge set, then I think you've probably wasted some money. Most manufacturers now allow you to buy irons individually, and we've done plenty of testing over this last 12 months, 2 years, that suggest a lot of slow swing speed golfers are having problems with a sort of 4, 5 and perhaps even 6 iron in the bag. So the first thing I would do is look at how effective you are with those longer irons and perhaps consider reducing them down. But you also want to consider the type of iron that you have in your bag. The likes of the Super Game Improvement irons mightn't look as easy on the eye as the blade-like irons, but they are bulky for a reason, and they're once again going to help you find fairways, launch the ball high, give you plenty of forgiveness, but also there will be plenty of ball speeds as well to assist and once again build confidence. And for that area of the bag, we've got a couple of options, and it really depends on the type of club that you like to play. For someone that wants to play irons but is perhaps struggling in the areas suggest with swing speeds and such, then maybe you look at utility irons. Utility irons are effectively a bulky iron. They've got quite a bit of mass on the back side of it, which help with CG location, which is really important at this area of the bag. That CG location is all about mass and where that CG location can be placed. So the bigger the footprint of the club, the further back the CG can go. And that again is a massive help to most golfers, that is, in getting the ball airborne. So you've got utility clubs as an option. But then if you don't like the utility clubs, then I would really suggest you start looking at hybrids. Hybrids have got that bulk and mass. That bulk and mass, like I said, provides that CG, and they've also got incredibly fast faces, and that again can be a massive help. I've even got a 6 hybrid in the bag now, which is replacing my 5 iron, and be careful there because it's not always the case that the equivalent loft will have the equivalent performance. These things generally are at least a club longer in terms of the number and loft than the equivalent iron. Right, this green drink on my table, AG1, once again thank you for them sponsoring today's video. What is it? Well, basically it's full of a lot of ingredients and nutrients that make you, or at least improve my immune system, my gut health and my focus and energy have been the 3 key elements that I've seen improvements on over the last 12 months since I've started to make this drink. And making it is quite simple, as you can see, couldn't be any easier. And I take it every day. Often it'll be in my golf bag as well. Also want to point out, although it's sort of green in colour, it suggests it tastes very different than it does. This is pineapple and vanilla. So right now I have a very special offer for you worth over £82. If you go to drinkag1.com/averagegolfer or scan the QR code, you can now get 5 travel packs of vitamin D3 and K2, a welcome kit and the AG1 morning person cap for free. I highly recommend it. And if you're unsure, no risk with the 30-day money-back guarantee, no shipping costs, no contract term. You can pause or cancel at any time. AG1 has added it as a special gift in the welcome kit, but only for a limited time. If you want to grab some, act fast. And thanks again to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. And from there, it's up into what predominantly will be fairway woods, and how you choose them, how you select them is very much again what you like in terms of visually on the eye, but essentially the profile will be similar between the brands. They again allow CG to be placed further back because of that larger footprint again, but I will really consider looking at fairway woods that offer you plenty of loft. So for me, again, over the years, we've tried to steer a lot of golfers away from the likes of a 3-wood because of the lack of loft. It becomes a little bit more difficult to play. So considering things like certainly 5 woods and then 7 woods and 9 woods, those kind of clubs can be very useful to you in a number of different situations. They're very versatile clubs. So again, they've got this control element as well with that shorter shaft than you would find in a 3-wood. The more you sort of slide down to the 5, 7 and 9, the shorter the shaft will become, the greater the control. But again, similar to the hybrid story, they provide incredibly fast ball speeds and, generally speaking, high launch, which will once again help you in those difficult situations, whether it be from off the tee, in the rough, on the fairway. These kind of clubs are going to be a huge help, bridging that gap between the longest club in the bag in that hybrid section or utility iron into that driver. So that's our kind of main bulk sorted. We've now just got to take a trip back down to the short end of the bag and have a little bit of consideration there as well, because ultimately that's where rounds could be made or not. Often we can throw a lot of shots away on that short end of the bag. So finally, the short end of the bag, and I want to keep this element fairly brief, but essentially the 2 points that I want to make and make sure that you get correct. First of all is understanding how you deliver the club when you are chipping. And that's important because it will establish what kind of bounce you need on the bottom of the sole of your wedges. And that will help you significantly if you can establish how you deliver the club. And to do that, quite simply, it's either a custom fit or visit a store, and they will soon be able to guide you in the right direction. You've then at least got the right type of wedge you can buy that suits your game. Then my big suggestion would be, don't start sticking 4 and 5 wedges in the bag. It's an absolute minefield, and all it will do will cause confusion, in my opinion, and doesn't breed confidence, which is what ultimately we're trying to do here. So my suggestion is simple: 1 or 2 wedges in the bag. Start to practice with them. They'll make a huge difference to your score. Forget the big dog, which is where all the concentration is and all the investment is. Work down that short end of the bag, because essentially we don't hit greens in regulation as average golfers. So we're going to have to get a sharper short game, and that means practice. And that's how you're going to eliminate your scores, or your bad scores rather, lower handicap, ultimately break 90, break 80, so on and so forth. So it's a very brief and quick overview, but essentially I think they're really key points. I keep seeing and hearing of golfers that buy certain clubs that at the end of the day will just sit in a bag, gather dust, and are doing you no favors whatsoever. So highlight where you have issues, look at your golf bag very carefully, and just give it a glance over, and have you got the right setup that is really helping you, or have you got a lot of clubs in there that are actually more of a hindrance? After that, the one thing I want to say is, I've tried to put a few brands on the table here. This isn't brand specific, it's nothing about buying new clubs. Buy the type of club and brand and cost and all the rest of it. Find them on eBay, secondhand stores, whatever it is you wish. I would obviously prefer and recommend that you always go and get custom fit, but understand budgets don't always allow that. So it's simply a guidebook. Be very careful.